My main questions for the below are these signs of enmeshment, and if so, how the hell can I convince her that she has an unhealthy lack of boundaries with Mill? My fiancé, we're both aged 34, have been together for almost 4 years. We're long distance, 2.5-hour drive one way, meaning that the only time I can see her is on the weekends. And my fiancé has an unreliable car, so I do all the driving every weekend to come see her. This wasn't a problem until nearly 2 years ago when her mother moved in with her because she left her abusive husband, my fiancé's stepfather. To be clear, I strongly supported Mill staying with my fiancé and leaving her ex. She and my fiancé have definitely been mentally abused by this man for years, and I don't think Mill is being intentionally manipulative or disruptive in any way, but I do see signs that they have an increasingly unhealthy dynamic. And I'm noticing that my fiancé's lack of firm boundaries towards MIL has begun to deeply affect fiancé and I's relationship. Mill moving in with fiancé was supposed to be a temporary situation, and Mill and I got along really well for about a year or so, but more recently, Mill and my fiancé have decided that they want to live together permanently. Now this directly goes against what my fiancé and I had been planning previously for our future. Fiancé has suddenly started to demand that Mill be included in our future plans to live together. Any questions I had about it have been met with extreme defensiveness from my fiancé. It's totally upended our previously calm relationship. Up to just a few months ago, my fiancé and I were able to communicate about all issues in a remarkably healthy way. But now, even asking my fiancé about what our future living situation would look like with her mom makes my fiancé extremely defensive. Worse yet, Mill has been continuously invading my personal space, possibly subtly guilt-tripping my fiancé and refusing to respect boundaries of our relationship. I spoke with my therapist, and she said she was getting a sense that fiancé and Mill were mildly enmeshed. Here's what I've seen. MIL consistently invades my privacy when I'm there, and fiancé did set some basic boundaries for our relationship, but fiancé makes it seem like these boundaries are hurting MIL and that I should be extremely grateful. Examples of these basic boundaries: asking MIL to knock before coming into fiancé's bedroom when I'm there, asking MIL to not use my products labeled with my name in the bathroom, asking her to park in a way which allows my car to fit too, asking her to avoid coming into my fiancé's room to tidy up while I'm there so we can have alone time, asking her to ask before throwing away my food that I place in the kitchen, asking her not to wash my laundry. Fiancé and I haven't had sex in the last year due to the lack of privacy and Mill always being home. But if I bring this up, fiancé gets deeply defensive of Mill. I recently suggested that we pay for Mill to have a nice night out or a massage to help her relax, and also give my fiancé and I much-needed alone time for our anniversary, and fiancé was so offended by this suggestion that she hung up the phone. Mill has no friends, no community, no hobbies. She works part-time as a grocery store clerk and then comes home to sit at the kitchen table to watch TikTok, meaning that she's almost always feet away from my fiancé's bedroom. She always takes Mill's side. Example, there's been a couple of times when Mill threw away my non-refrigerated food that I have placed on the counter. There's no other place to put non-refrigerated food in her kitchen. My fiancé said I should label all food that I don't want thrown away with a note and marker stating "do not toss." Essentially, she blamed me instead of asking MIL to just simply not throw away my stuff or ask first. Mill has thrown out nearly full packs of cookies, chips, beef jerky several times over the last few months. Also, I took a 30-minute work call once in the midst of eating a sandwich, and when I came back, Mill had thrown the 3/4 sandwich away. I have asked Mill if she felt like I was cluttering up the counter/table and if that was the issue, but it was not. I'm a really tidy person. Also, Mill will wear shorts around the house and then constantly turns off the AC even if fiancé and I are sweating. Instead of asking Mill to put on long pants or a sweater, fiancé scolds me for saying I'm uncomfortable. The temp is sometimes 74 degrees plus. And I get that I don't live there, but it's odd that my girlfriend will be uncomfortable too, but will get mad if I suggest asking her mom to stop messing with the AC. Also, my fiancé has a Siberian husky who is obviously uncomfortable if the temp is higher than 70 degrees. Even if my fiancé does tell her constantly to stop messing with the AC, MIL does constantly. She acts like she forgets day after day. She constantly chooses MIL over me, our relationship. Recently, fiancé has decided that MI will live with her permanently and will move in with us when we live together in the future. As I mentioned, this directly negates our previous future plans of living together. She has never asked me what I thought about it, and when I ask her for clarification about what that living situation would look like, she gets extremely defensive. She has stated several times that it's not up for discussion. And no, her mom does not have medical needs that would require care. We had been planning for most of our relationship to move to a specific city and state, and this now also has to be approved by Mill as well, because my fiancé is absolutely refusing to even think about having Mill live separately. Fiancé has an incredibly strong urge to protect Mill. Anytime I comment about the lack of privacy we have, fiancé gets defensive and blatantly states that I'm the problem for being uncomfortable. She acts like any conflict or boundary setting at all will shatter her mom. Any suggestion I have to increase our privacy and to get us to connect more emotionally/physically will result in fiancé scoffing and rolling her eyes because she takes it as an attack against Mill. I suggested we start going on Saturday morning walks with coffee, and she stated that this would take away from the time she spent with her mom on Saturday mornings, which is essentially just them scrolling their phone side by side. Despite my fiancé and I having very limited time together, fiancé often feels the need to include her mom in our plans. Fiancé also feels anxious/guilty leaving MIL alone if we were to take a night/weekend trip, so we can no longer do that. Her mom does all of my fiancé's household chores as if she's a child. She regularly comes into my fiancé's room to collect her dirty laundry and vacuum or otherwise clean up. We just finally got her to start knocking after what seemed like months of her barging in. Except now she's knocking at least once every couple of hours to tidy up or ask us our plans for the evening, which seems highly inappropriate to me, considering that my fiancé and I have such limited alone time already. Her mom making occasional weird comments. Because my fiancé and I can't really go anywhere, I recently took a week off and stayed with my fiancé for our anniversary, and Mill said she would miss their evenings together for that week. Seemed innocent at first, but it made my fiancé feel guilty. When I asked my fiancé to borrow an oversized flannel, Mill made a comment that she wanted to borrow one of her flannels too. Again, it seemed innocent, but it stuck in my brain as bizarre because they typically don't wear each other's clothes. It felt like Mill was responding to my request to borrow a flannel in a weirdly jealous way. She's made comments about random things, like my clothes. I once excitedly showed her my outfit for a wedding, and she said, "You like your pants like that, huh?" They were perfectly normal trousers, except they were coral to match the wedding colors. I asked my fiancé if she wanted to get tickets for a very limited showing of a play that is really important to me and that she has been wanting to see, and she excitedly agreed. Weeks later, and days before the play, either Mill or fiancé became aware of something Mill wanted to do the day before the play. Fiancé had limited PTO, and so Mill asked her questions to determine if she really wanted to go to the play with me or if she'd rather go to the thing Mill was interested in. Mill asked her how much she really liked the play to get her to determine what she wanted to do, despite already committing to plans with me and me being excited about them for weeks. Fiancé ended up doing both and was exhausted and grumpy at the play from the night before with Mill. This did piss me off at first because it felt like a weird guilt trip thing to get my fiancé to cancel plans with me so that they could make plans instead. So many things that I've put off are coming to the light. These are just skimming the surface. The thing is, I deeply love my fiancé. She's typically such a special and uniquely kind and selfless person. We match perfectly on all of the most important values of mine. But this issue has affected us recently in a way that I could have never predicted. Is there anything I can say to get her to see past her blinders? She's convinced that her mom is a fragile angel who needs parented, and that I'm the problem for requesting basic personal space. I have told her so many times that I want to help support her mom too, but I can't be in the relationship with their current lack of boundaries and personal space. Update: I broke up with my fiancé. The breakup conversation was rough. I went in knowing it was over, but she full-on expected me to apologize to her mom for how I treated her, which, at worst, was me just trying my best to keep my distance and being passively annoyed when she'd cross my boundaries. The conversation was short and essentially was me just explaining that I couldn't continue in the relationship because she wouldn't prioritize me enough to enforce basic boundaries against Mill. In her own words, she admitted that her mom was lonely and helpless and that they were trauma bonded and therefore couldn't ever live more than a couple streets apart. Anytime Mill crossed a boundary, it was because she's old, traumatized, or she forgot. 1, she's not that old, and 2, I know she has gone through some serious trauma, but in the words of my therapist, her trauma doesn't give her an excuse to repeatedly cross your basic boundaries. And 3, how the hell do you forget to knock on a closed bedroom door for your 34-year-old adult daughter for several months straight? Thank you again for everyone who gave me advice. I'll definitely be looking through those comments whenever I'm feeling low.